Your business is growing. So why does it keep getting harder? This is the growth ceiling. Strategy, structure, and straight talk for service-based founders who are done guessing.
Today on the Growth Ceiling podcast, build the business first. Clarity is the real engine of growth. Our guest today is Mike Shue, and he's going to talk to us about that. So, Nate, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, so there's a moment in almost every coaching business where the founder convinces themselves that they have a marketing problem. Actually, that sounds common in lots of different types of businesses. But anyway, so they hire a copywriter, they rebuild their funnel, they run more ads, they post more content, and 6 months later, the revenue looks the same. So the story they keep telling themselves is that the marketing isn't working yet. But the truth, I think, is somewhat harder. The marketing is doing exactly what it should do. It's just being asked to compensate for a business that was never actually properly designed. So today we're talking, like Simone said, talking with Mike Shue about why clarity, not campaigns, is the real engine of growth. So Mike has spent the better part of 2 decades sitting in the seat almost no one wants to sit in. The seat where you tell a coach or any small business owner really that the problem isn't their messaging, their offer, or their ad spend, it's the structure of the business they thought they had already built. So 16 plus years as a professional coach, 25 in management before that, advising everything from solo operators to companies with 500 employees across the US and Canada. He's a certified profit acceleration expert and the developer behind Profit Path Coach. He hosts Momentum with Mike, or he did host Momentum with Mike Shue on WPSL, and he's been featured in Small Business Breakthroughs magazine. And what I find most useful about Mike's vantage point is that he's seen what actually moves a business forward and what ends up being just like, motion side to side, maybe. All right. So, Mike, after all the coaches that you've worked with across all those different positions that you've been in, what's the pattern that you keep seeing that most of them never really figure out or name?
Well, as a serial entrepreneur, the coaching business is my eighth business. When I look at coaches, a lot of them have the skill and the expertise, but the first thing that they have to do is you have to write your strategic plan. You have to get your branding right. You have to get the clarity, knowing your customer down to their shoe size. All of those things are important. So first, you have to set your coaching business up. Can't be in a hurry to go out and get clients in 5 minutes. Let's clarify what we're doing. Who is our target market? If we can support everybody, then we support no one. So we have to understand our ICP. We have to understand what it is that we bring to the table. So I would suggest a SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. A lot of times the opportunities will show you things that you may not be aware of. Like for me, notary came up. So I did notary. Business broker came up. I didn't do that because it's very regulated in Florida. But working through those frameworks helps you then craft a clear message on who you want to speak to and what you want to speak to them about. So we have to set your business up first, and then we move into phase two. So I'll let it go back to you guys if you have any questions or follow-ups on that.
Well, okay, most coaches, and you can correct me on this. Um, most coaches who hit that revenue plateau tend to think that the answer is revolves around their marketing. But what you've just described sounds to me like sort of like the fundamentals of marketing and getting your ICP set up, figuring out who you're going after, where they spend their
Right.
time, what you're going to say to them, that kind of thing, right? What are you actually finding when you go looking for the real problem? Is it so not so much that? Is it something else? Like what is the real problem there?
Well, you have to have systems in place to run your business. So now that we've set it up, we've actually got a business, we've got a plan, we know what we're going to do, we're going to target, what kind of coach we're going to be. Are you a business coach? Are you a management consultant? Are you a business architect? What are you specifically? Revenue generator, revenue cruncher, whatever it is. So once we do that, then you need a platform. You need to be able to have something that's going to generate leads, lead funnels, a good branded website, You're going to need all the bells and whistles as far as having a client portal that comes back and forth so you keep track of what you're doing. Also, with group coaching, there's a lot of money to be made in group coaching, but you have to first build a business and then we move into getting a coaching platform. And so then a lot of coaches will go out and they'll start looking for franchises, and franchises can be very expensive. And talking to a lot of franchise coaches, they're still not making money. I believe that the statistic that I saw, 90% of business coaches in America make 25 grand a year or less.
Okay.
Coaches that,
Considering how much I feel like coaching is necessary in the world that we're living in today. I heard a coach say that one of the reasons why coaching has been growing so much is because the world has been changing so fast that going to school for 4 years to learn something is not really the way to go for most of the fields you want to get in. You go to somebody who has been there, done that, and can show you how to do it very quickly. And, and this is why coaching has been growing so much, but coaches making just $25,000 a year is very sad considering, they're so necessary and so needed.
so let's think
Most,
about
mo-
that for a minute. Go ahead.
I was going to say most people that are out there studying business also, they're not learning how to be business owners necessarily. Like I think there are just a few entrepreneur specific types of programs out there. It's more like MBAs. That doesn't really tell you how to run a business and,
That one
that kind
does
of
not.
thing. So having a coach who can kind of take you that next step, right? Like having the fundamentals, that's great and everything, theoretical, but, what's it look like in actual practice, or the trick there?
So when we think about those coaches that, the coaching space is crowded. To me, there seems to be like there's a coach every 20 feet. But when we go back and look at the entrepreneurs, the small business owners, there's tons of them, right? Solopreneurs up to 10 people. But do they have the money to pay your coaching fees? And that's why we've got coaches that are not making a lot of money. I'll give you an example. January of 24 or 23, I was busy. I mean, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week with small business owners. And I made $3,300. That's all I could get because the business owners didn't have the money to pay me. For a profit coach, I'm $250 an hour. For entrepreneur coaching, I'm $150. But I do give packages depending on what you're doing. If I'm going to do your LLC, your business plan, help you get funding and all those types of things, I do give you a package deal to get you through that because I do love entrepreneurs. But you're not going to get rich working with the startups, the entrepreneurs that, you have to think about what is the entrepreneur making? Are they making 50 grand a year, 100 grand, 200 grand? So that's where a lot of coaches get into that scenario where it just doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
And that's where business
So
structure comes in.
yeah, I was just going to say, what does it look like when, you talk to a coach who has maybe built their brand, but they haven't built a business? I guess, number one, they don't have revenue coming in. Is that the key indicator?
They have some revenue, but a lot of coaches that I've spoken to will go and take their knowledge and build their own system, and they'll spend time doing that, or they'll buy a system if it's affordable. And in my own experience, my own coaching business, when I started, I developed 9 online courses. I authored books, and from that, building that brand and going out and then actually testing it and networking and looking for the right pivot to where it would make money, it takes time to do all of that. So if you work with a coach who coaches can speed you up. And instead of some of those tripwires that you get stuck on, or that doubt, especially what I see is, everybody's got somebody in their life, spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, whatever. Well, that person is in the background going, I think you should go get a job because we don't have any money coming in and you're spending money, but your business is not making money. So we have to go back and we have to set it up the correct way and follow the steps to move forward so that you do become a successful coach. It's not an accident, the ones that are successful.
Yeah, I heard a guy on a video here recently. He said that he does not trust entrepreneurs unless they've failed a few times, especially like if they're trying to be a coach, you know what I mean? Like they had to have run some businesses and failed a few times in order for him to actually trust them. So I thought that was interesting because I guess the failure is the big teacher in that case.
Yeah, I say failure is tuition.
Yeah.
That is the
I don't know
truth.
if I actually I don't know if I actually got to coin that phrase or not, or if I heard it somewhere, but failure is tuition. You're
Mhm.
paying for it
Yeah, I like that.
because it costs you money.
Can you give us an example of a time where, walk us through like when a coach came to you and they thought they had maybe like a marketing problem and you kind of discovered what was really going on and what they needed to work on?
I had a coach that was doing Facebook ads, Instagram ads, doing a lot of ad spend and not getting traction. So what we have to do is we have to go back and look at the message in the ad. If you're doing connections on LinkedIn or Alignable and you're not getting connections, or you're getting meetings and you're not generating a new client, something is wrong in the message. Something is wrong in your presentation. So we have to go back. What I want to see is I want to see what you said, what they said, if that's possible, and understand your conversion rate, your numbers, and really, the thing is that the data is in the details is what gives us the information. That allows us to break it down. When you've spent all this money, what you didn't do in the beginning is you didn't do A/B testing. You need to test the message on a small scale. A good scale is 100. Send that message out to 100, see what you get back percentage wise. If that's not going to work, then the message wrong. And it may take you 6, 7, 12 iterations before you find the right message, but that's part of it is the message that you're broadcasting. And then you get them on a Zoom meeting or you're in their office. It all goes back to your personality, your knowledge, and being able to understand really what that business owner needs. What are their pain points? And I truly believe that once you can get in and you speak the business owner's language, you've owned businesses, you've run businesses, they recognize that you know what you're talking about. So that coach, we went back and we started over. We started doing A/B testing for message. And of course, the coach is in a panic. I mean, they spent a lot of money on ad spend that didn't work. We have to stop running ads and we have to go back and we have to figure out what the problem is and we have to do triage. And a lot of times when coaches or business owners are in chaos, it's very difficult for them to concentrate. And that's why it's good to have a coach. You got somebody to talk to. You don't want to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning, upset, aired, and your wife or your family comes out and you're, I can't make payroll or we can't pay the rent. I mean, those types of things, you should have buffers and emergency funds and all those types of things in case that happens. But it comes back to your message. It comes back to understanding. One of the things is I think, I mean, I know I'm talking a lot today, but I'm on a podcast. But when I'm with business owners, I shut up. I listen. Tell me what's going on. When I'm with a coach, what do you think the problem is? Where are you at? I always ask, where are you at psychologically? Are you ready to go ahead and roll your sleeves up and build this thing take it to the next level, or you want to throw me the keys? I've actually had people throw me keys, but they're that fed up with their business, so they just don't want to do it anymore. So where are you at psychologically? And then if you're ready to roll up your sleeves, then we need to go ahead and follow the frameworks. And that's what we're taught as coaches in school and our certifications. And the frameworks do make a difference.
I saw somebody recently, their agency owner that they posted, a digital marketing agency owner. They posted something like, I want to talk to a coach who has had a successful business and can kind of, a mentor is what he was looking for, right? He's like, we're currently making this much money, and which is a decent amount, but he wants to get it up to over $1 million, right, and profit. But he said, I absolutely hate this business. It's like, wow, that's feel sorry for that guy, but apparently
If
he's
you
doing
hate it,
something
it's not
right.
work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I like to know that up front, Nate. I like
yeah,
to know the cycle. If you hate what you're doing, let's change to something else.
yeah.
Because I
Absolutely.
believe in what you put out into the universe, right? What you say to yourself manifests. So if you hate your business is going to fail. So sell it, give
Sure.
it away, walk away from it, and do something else.
Yeah. And they say like, when you're doing something that you actually like to do, you're going to stick with it during the rough times because
That's right.
you like it, you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, then yeah, it's absolutely going to fail. You're not going to stick with it. You
Yeah.
hate it so much.
Yes.
Yeah, the
I
hard
mean,
times are going to come whether you love it or hate it.
I mean, I love what I do. I love talking to coaches all day. I mean,
Mm.
it's, I worked with, I've only been working with coaches for 6 months, but in that time, I look forward to coming to work. I don't have a problem getting out of bed. I want to be here. I, I'll take their calls at 10 o'clock at night, whatever I can do to help them because I've been on the other side. So I love what I do. So then the money will follow.
Yeah. Words of wisdom there, everybody. All right. So let's get into the architecture here a little bit, frameworks and whatnot, and your approach to things. Most coaches think that they have a business, and to them, that means having an LLC, a website, and some clients. But apparently, you're defining this differently. So when you say business architecture, can you break that down for us? What are the actual
Well,
components that a coach should be designing on purpose here?
first thing I did when I was going to start my business, before the name, I sat down and wrote a strategic plan. I then sat down and wrote a vision board. So,
So what
you,
does the strategic plan involve exactly?
well, strategic plan is going to go back and help you do your competitive analysis, your SWOT analysis, your pedestal analysis, political, economic, social, technical, environmental, and legal. You can do some of this through ChatGPT, but really ChatGPT is only an assistant. So you have to understand what your competitors are doing, not only regionally, I mean regionally to start with, but statewide, national, so that you get a really good idea of what's going on around you. And when your strategic plan is really, I see it as a research paper. You're researching what you have an interest in. You're looking for all the details, who makes what, why, who's successful, who are going to be your competitors in your local market if you go out and get on the microphone and speak. And being aware of all of that helps you then break down and decide what you want to do, what you want to be called. All business advisor for me, .info was a website. People think I'm the SBA, and I'm not. I've had people call me and talk to me like I'm not the SBA.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful that I'm a financial guy. I got an MBA. I can do all of the financials. That's not a problem. But I have people think I'm a small business advisor. I'm a financial planner. So you have to be really careful in the name you pick. And so in the beginning, I was a management consultant. I remember back when I first got into consulting, I would tell people I was a management consultant. They didn't know what that meant. So when I got my own business, changed management consultant to coach, business coach. And then at that point, as I was in networking and beginning to explain that to them, they understood it. And I did another pivot where I started calling myself business growth blank Mike Shue. I can't say it because I got sued. It was trademarked. There's 2 words in there that are trademarked. I didn't run, and hey, I didn't know that there was a franchise with those 2 words in it. So I had to do a pivot again, which is momentum with Mike Shue. But it's one of those things where you need to go out and look at trademarks. You need to understand what you're going to put out there. And then when you see your competitors of what their brand looks like, I mean, if we think about Nike, the swish, what does that mean to everybody who's wearing Nike shoes? The brand speaks for itself. So you have to go back and think about branding. Now, I always like to brand my own name. I've done that in many of my businesses because I'm from the generation of Sears and J.C. Penney's, and those were people that own those companies. And they put their names on the building. So that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be, at one point when I had a small jewelry store, department store, I wanted to be Shoe Brothers department stores, even though I don't have any brothers. But I wanted to have that nationwide. So you've got to really sit down and do your research and think about, I really like business architect. I really do. But that's not what I chose. So I don't know did I answer your question or did I get off on a tangent?
Well, it's business architecture. What does that mean exactly? What does it in your mind mean when a coach actually has, a business? It's not just LLC, it's not just a website, not just the fact that they have clients, right? They've thought this through, they have their strategy formulated.
They got their certifications.
Yeah.
So the architects I think are mixed in with IT. I think that's a fraction of it in the architects that I've spoken with and looked at. I don't know that I would call myself a business architect because of the IT undertone. Because I've done ERP systems, so I do understand all of that. I'm a 360 coach. I have worked in that, but I think if you're going to be an architect for all systems and processes within the business, that's a higher level coach, I think.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So basically, the first step that coaches need to think about is, what is their strategy? What sets them apart? What makes them different to begin with? Who are the players in the market? Who are they going to be going up against? That kind of gives them a focused approach. I think someone also I heard say an entrepreneur is someone that sees a gap, like they see a gap between, in fulfillment or like something like and they come up with an idea that can fill that gap, in other words, right? So I guess thinking about that, what is the gap that you're trying to fill here with as far as like your coaching concern and all that kind of thing. So, all right. So when you are working with coaches, how do you take them through that? What's the first thing that you put on the table? And does the order matter?
Well, I want to be respectful of the coach, and I never ever want to step on anybody's toes, but I will hold you accountable. I mean, once I get to know you, it usually takes 1 to 3 months of working with someone before and them listening to you and you being right more times than you're wrong, that they wake up and they realize that what you're saying is the correct method or the correct process. So what I do is I go back and I do, to get a coach, I go back and I do my homework. I look at their website. I look at their brand. I look at their social media posts. I look at if they've got any newspaper ads. What are they putting out? What are if they've got a podcast? I look at everything. We call that a gap analysis. So I do the same thing for a coach that I would for a business owner. So I'm going to do a gap analysis and I'm going to look to fill in those gaps where that coach is maybe weak or needs support.
Okay. All right. That's good. I think everybody can get behind that one. So if, let's say, for example, a coach is doing between 300 to a million,
Okay.
they want to get serious about scaling their business. What does that process look like?
So
Over,
then
let's say 60, 90 days?
So we've done all of our setup. They're solid. They are generating 300 to a million. Then we have to go back and look at their capacity. I mean, how much can a coach actually do?
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to work 7 days a week, 15 hours a day? So if that's the situation, if they're mentally ready to scale, the business is right, they've got the right message, the right niche, they've got an ecosystem, they're bringing in the clients, then we have to look at the fees that they're charging because we have to go higher in fees because their capacity is becoming limited. So we have to think about pricing. That's going to shake a coach up, because they don't want to lose any business and they don't want to turn any business away. So then we have to think about, really, here it goes again, back to the psychology of the coach. Where are you at and how big do you want to grow? And I get different answers. There's the coaches that say, I just want 2 other people. There's coaches that say, I want 100. I want to have 1,000 employees. So based on that, then we have to really get serious with looking at all of your systems, all of your processes, your close rate, your missed close rate. Why did they not sign you as a coach? And then from there, we have to look at platforms that you can use as tools that have frameworks built into them that are going to make your job easier and that you can bring on additional coaches, additional clients, keep track of what you're doing. Because, I mean, how many times have you only slept maybe 2 or 4 hours the night before for whatever reason? I mean, it just happens. Maybe you're sick. Who knows? But when you get up and you come to work, you have to be the best version of yourself to lead and to give that information. So you need a system so that you track everything and you're not missing anything. All right. Because I got messages coming in. I've got messages coming in from everywhere. So that all has to come in together so that I see them, I process them, and I don't miss anyone.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds like it all comes down to systems, having systems for architecting your business, for deciding what your branding is going to be, figuring out like who your ideal client is, what structure is your business going to have? What are you offering? How are you going to grow? All of that. It sounds like it all comes down to systems, really.
It all comes down to systems, frameworks, and the mentality of the coach and where they're at in their journey in life. Because we're all on a different journey, right? All 3 of us may be coaches, but we've all had different journeys to get here. So then it's
Right.
understanding your journey and where you want to go and what you want to be. I mean, for me, I've had a very violent and traumatic life with injuries and car accidents and just all. I mean, I'm that coach that if you want the coach that everything that is bad has happened to them, I'm that coach. I have that in my life. I mean, I have a TV show coming out this month or an episode on legacy makers that I talk about that and the resilience of getting up, like I lost everything in the 2004 hurricanes. You don't think that created some post-traumatic stress syndrome? Yeah. 85 mile an hour head on crash, 12 herniated disc, brain trauma. I had a stroke. I mean, and it's almost 5 years ago. So I had to rehab and come back from that and not quit. So I've had businesses or concepts that didn't work out right. And so I learned from it. And that's what we're instilling into the other coaches is that even though, I mean, my business owners, when they say, if it doesn't change, I'm going to close. You cannot close this business till I tell you can close it. That's if we're close, right? Right. Because a lot of times they'll pull the trigger and they're close to turning it around.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just had enough. They're just burned out. They're just sick of the same hamster wheel day after day. So You can't give up. You have to fight. Are you going to feel suicidal occasionally? Absolutely. Every business owner does. But you have to fight it. Well, how many people are in that situation where they can't make payroll or they can't pay themselves and they've got that conflict back at the house with your partner, right?
Oh,
He or she's upset because there's money not. It happens. I hear it every day.
mhm.
Business owners, it doesn't matter. I hear it every day. When I had businesses and I was married, I'm not married now. I had the same thing with my wives. They were constantly coming back. My first wife, she goes, it would just be so much better if you just went and got a job. And I actually wrote a song about that. It's called Living in the Dream. 3 recording albums out. But Living in the Wrong Dream, I wrote that in 92. And it talks about me being an entrepreneur. And she wanted me to go get a job and get promoted up the ladder and then retire. And that's not my personality, right? So we all have that stress. And I speak to coaches, it doesn't matter, coaches, business owners, friends, everybody. That's why
It,
I'm alone.
it sounds like you need some kind of a do you have grit diagnostic? Do you have
That's
the
not a bad
grit
idea.
to be
You
an
know,
entrepreneur?
idea. That's
That is a good
good
idea.
Put that on
Mhm.
LinkedIn. Take this 2-minute assessment. Do you have the grit? And then let's talk. That's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
great ecosystem. That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us how your Profit Path Coach AI software, where does that come in here?
Well, the Profit Path Coach software is an all-in-one coaching platform. So it has a client-to-client group coaching, flash coaching. You may have like right now, I'm in a situation where I'm in a podcast. I get off. Maybe I've got another meeting, and 30 minutes later, I can send somebody a video, and then they can call me later, and we can talk about it. So flash coaching. It's got a business academy in it. You can sell the business academy for the do-it-yourselfers. There's a lot of business owners out there in chaos. They can chew bubble gum and walk at the same time. It's a mini MBA. You can sell that for $197 a month, or give it away pro bono, or $49 a month. You decide your own coaching fees. Along with that, you've got full blown support, training at a certification, 5 hours to be a profit coach, and then the second portal is AI, and there's AI all throughout the software. And then you get stuck, all you do is hit AI and it'll just tell you what to do. In that first portal, it gives you a step-by-step roadmap from doing an assessment with quantifiable numbers that this strategy is going to increase the market dominating position 10%. It's going to show revenue increase based on your current numbers. It's going to show profit increase in each strategy. So we think about the market dominating strategy: fresh, fast, pizza in 30 minutes or less, right? Dominoes. So we all have to have that. So we go back and think about our marketing conversion equation, compelling offer. It's tested and it does work. But having an ad resource library where you can pull ads from different industries, you can run them through ChatGPT. I can put in Nate's information and make him a beautiful social media ad in about 3 minutes. That's all it takes. So you have all of that, and it's going to identify projects that also red flags that need to be done. You may not want to do them. You may not be a social media person. Well, you get an extra license. That person can sign in under you and make sure you get a non-disclosure, but they could harvest the ads and make them for your client. You take a percentage of the contract. The client only talks to you. The other coach, here again, you're scaling. I've done it. The other coach sends it back to you, send it back through your platform. Same thing for websites, SEO, SOPs. It identifies a lot of opportunities if they need it. And then the second platform is all about lead generation. So, and it's AI focused. So it's got your marketing planners all in there for all of your social media. You can set up your own courses from scratch. You can upload the courses you've done. You can upload your books, your products. Coaches sell products, different coaches. You can generate communities to create ecosystems to bring entrepreneurs into it. And then from that, it's free. And then from there, you have other communities where it's X amount to be in group coaching. You make it really affordable, but it is a full blown all in one coaching software for $14.97 a month with a 30-day cancellation notice. Once you see it, you do the demo. Tell me this, what's better? All the other franchises out there are asking for 100 grand, 50 grand. And I talk to those coaches and they're still in the same situation where they don't have leads.
Well, yeah.
But
It,
I cannot tell you the coaches out there that have been burned. And so
mhm.
that makes it tough too.
It sounds like a great way to keep yourself organized and create that recurring revenue that allows a coach to scale, so that they're not necessarily always trading their time. They could probably charge a premium then for their time spent, and then still make money on the other offers and accoutrement that's available there. So that I think that's attractive. All right. So speaking of going back to like the idea of having a framework or an architecture, around the business, what needs to be true in the rest of the business for the architecture to actually hold? So in other words, where does your work end, and where does that next layer of growth pick up? So
the
once
coach.
they're done with you, in other words, right? What happens
Well,
next? Is there an ending?
I'm connected. I have Carl Bryan's phone number or cell number in my phone, so he's ranked 15th in the world. If they want to get hooked up with Carl Bryan, I can hook them up. I think that once a coach gets past $1 million a year in coaching and we've set it up correctly, I think the ecosystem is going to hum because we did everything correctly. So if we go back and we look at Tony Robbins has a high school diploma. He went and sold NLP programming tapes back in the 80s. He then began to do his own research. He then got on a microphone and he started running people through fire. No, he had some third-degree burns with that, but it made him famous. And then he just kept doing it. And then eventually it just takes off on its own. And then the systems really don't change. He's just repeating the same thing that he's always done. But I've noticed as he's gotten older, there's another person sitting with him. So that's going to be the person that he hands it off to when he gets sick or health affects us. If we have health issues as coaches and our voice is what we use, you can hear it in Tony Robbins' voice. His voice is cracking. He's
Yeah.
getting older, right?
Yeah.
So that's a coaching practice that'll be handed off, but it's made billions. So another coach that's coming up behind him to make $1 million is really based on what the coach wants to accomplish. And if they want to travel and be on a platform and do the same type of stuff.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the next step here. I think this is where a lot of founders, and not necessarily just coaches, but they kind of miss the bigger picture. So once you have the architecture and that everything is set up and things start moving, probably that you didn't expect to have move, in other words. So when a coach finally gets going along with what you were just saying, when it finally gets the business itself designed properly, what are some of the things that start working downstream that they might not necessarily have considered before?
Relationships. The thing is, I always, I tell the young people, make sure your core values match up if you're going to get married, because that will come up to haunt you 5 years from now because you realize that you're not a fit because your core values didn't match. So core values, and that the relationship is a partnership. Basically marriage is a business. You're really supporting each other and working together, and most have two incomes, but you're putting that in a house or retirement so that you can retire and do whatever it is you want to do when you get to that point. It's no different for a coach. The coach has to decide along with their family, are your kids young? Do you really want to be on the road? I mean, I could be a university speaker. I could get on the university circuit right now and go to different universities and speak to the students, but I'm doing elder care. So I can't do that. One of the reasons that I did the TV episode was because it was in Miami and I'm in Port St. Lucie. It was 130 miles south. If I'd have had to go to LA, I probably would not have done it because I wouldn't want to be away from my parents that amount of time with where they are with their dementia. Kind of got them watching each other, and that kind of works, but it goes back to your spouse, your kids, where you are in life. I've lived in hotels as an international consultant. I've done projects till 11 o'clock at night. Living in a hotel and flying is not fun. It is in the beginning,
That
but it
again,
gets old real quick.
I did that for 10 years.
So it goes back. Now you look like you're in good shape. But my thing is when you're on the road, you eat fast. And I was a bodybuilder in my youth, and so I got big. So if I go eat, I get really big, but I get fat now. I don't get muscular. I just get fat. So it's being on the road and eating that horrible food, and then your health deteriorates, and then you want to come off the road. So it's the same thing with being a coach. And I have to know. I always this is one of the questions I ask. Nate, in your coaching business, where do you want to be 10 years from now? Well, I haven't even thought that far out. Well, if I'm your coach, I need to know that because we're writing a strategic plan to take you further into time of what you want to do. Is the coach an author, or are they a natural born speaker? Are these things that we have to teach, that we have to get into the strategy room in my conference room right over there? And we have to actually sit down and practice to make that coach successful. So it all depends on the personality, their background, what they want to do and where they want to take it. And then looking for other pivots that may be available to take them to achieve what they want to achieve. Because here again, I'm the coach. It's your life. It's your money. Go with your gut. Do what works for you. It's another disclaimer I throw in with everybody I work with.
So once their business is running successfully at that point, relationships downstream are perhaps hopefully improving. I guess this is kind of going back into it, like what is the definition of successful? And I guess um, if they have taken the time to kind of sculpt their practice the way that they want it to be, they don't want to work 60, 80 hours a week. So that means that they're
That's
presumably
just going to be
raising their
different
prices.
for everybody, right? Every person.
True, but
Mhm.
And
I think
maybe they're
everybody could get behind not wanting to do 80 hours a week.
exactly like, do your does your life meet your expectations
Yeah,
or what you want it to be?
yeah,
That can be a good definition of success. Because for some
right.
people, it's making 1 million a year, and somebody else, it may be, I'm good at 120,000. I'm good.
Yeah, yeah. As long as it's relatively low stress. I'm not.
Mhm.
I can have weekends off. I can take vacation time off whenever I want to. I mean
Yeah.
that's the ideal, right? But so do you see that happening a lot then, Mike? Once everything is set up properly and everything is humming along?
Yeah, at that point, it goes back to their family, and it goes
Yeah.
back to what they want. Priorities and health. And health is a big factor because coaches are typically not 25 years of age.
Yeah.
So health affects us, right? I have 12 herniated disc in my back. I really don't want to carry suitcases, even on rollers, to an airport
I hear
because it
that.
always seems like I'm at gate 31.
I don't
Don't
either.
know why, but I'm at gate 31. How come I can't be at gate 1? Why do I have to go to 31?
That's only for domestic flights,
Yeah,
and if you're flying on the hub airline, right?
Yeah. Not sure.
the thing is, Nate, I could say, hey, look, I can take you to 3 million a year, right? I don't know what
Yeah,
you're making, but let's just say
yeah.
3
Not
million
three
is more than
million.
what you're making now. Okay. So I'll take you to 3 million a year and you have to do this and this and this and this and this, and you will achieve that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go talk to your partner and then she's going to have her input. And then you're going to come back and you're going to say, well, yeah, it all sounds great, but can we change this and can we change that? Well, that changes the outcome because we're changing the plan. So yes, we can go ahead and do that because that happy wife, happy life, that
Yeah,
married, your kids and all those types of things. But this is what you're going to have to do
yeah.
to be successful at 3 million a year. And then it's up to you if you want to do it or not, right?
Everything in
Interesting. Yeah. You
everything
Yeah.
is
you
part of
might
that
you
machine.
might think you want 3 million, but do you really want to do
Do
what
you
it's going to
really?
take to get there?
It's work.
Yeah,
Right.
Anything we
That's
do is
right.
work.
yeah.
That's
You're gonna
right.
go you're gonna go fix the alternator on your truck this weekend. Well, guess what? It's gonna create all kinds of nightmares and
You're
problems
you're going to
because
have
even if you're
broken
handy,
knuckles.
something's gonna happen. You're gonna break a bolt off. You're gonna get the wrong alternator. You got to go back. You got to sit there and play
Uh-huh.
with it.
I've
God
done
forbid
this,
you
by the
blow
way.
your. Yes, so have I. And so what seemed, the alternator was on
Yeah,
top back in the old days, so it was pretty quick, the belts and all that stuff. But as cars have become complicated, wouldn't
yeah.
even dare go under the hood now. There's no way,
No.
right? But if you were going to do those things yourself, it's the same thing in the coaching business. There is going to be a point where you get out of your comfort zone to go
Yeah,
bigger and bigger and bigger. And the thing is the bigger you become, you're going to be known. So I'm okay with being open. I'm okay with telling my story to the world. Supposedly when Legacy Makers comes out this month, 2 million people will be watching it. So that's
nice,
potential 2 million eyes on my episode,
nice.
right?
Yeah.
So what is that going to
Um,
do? But yeah, but let's get back. But what path is that going to take me down? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to get me high-end coaching clients or high-end coaches, or is no one going to see it, or how are they? I don't know what's going to happen. So we've got unknowns and
The
unforeseen
potential.
circumstances. We
Yeah.
have potentials, yeah.
Yeah.
So we build the plan, and then it's based on what you do with it. And I can only do so much because of your personal situation, your life, your kids, who you're connected to, and really what they're putting in your head. I'm a certified family business advisor from the Gilliard Institute in St. Louis, which is the alternative to being a SEPA. So it's for succession and exit planning. It's also really that first generation turns the business over to second generation because only 17% do that. And then from second to third is only a 7% change. So it's having those business owners and going back and getting in with the new owners and skilling them up to make sure that we don't lose all those jobs. So from a family business point of view, I can't tell you the families that I've been in, you scream at each other. siblings hate each other. And so it's trying to get them to calm down to work together. So you as a coach, I don't know the dynamic that's going on with you and your family. When I set up the plan, I also want to see the family. I want to hear and see everything so that I can adjust so that we're on the same page. But you see all the moving parts that are involved?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like you're the first
That's
person I've ever, heard talk about when you're working with a business owner, that you need to see their family and, see all the dynamics that are going on there. Because most people they don't think about that. They're thinking about just the business owner and maybe their spouse, but certainly not like, the rest of the family, the kids, what's the family dynamic and all of
yeah,
that.
that's really getting
It does make
into
sense because
what
it affects.
that's
It
yeah,
does.
exactly. That's really getting into what the real motivators are here, right? You know,
That's
what,
true.
yeah. What are the real
I get
goals, and why are you wanting to do this, right? What's your
so
motivation?
I
The other
work involved.
stakeholders.
You need some Zoloft or something to get you through it because divorce is trauma. I know
No
I've been
doubt.
divorced twice. It was
For
trauma.
everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for everyone. It's like a death in a family because you love that person for some reason, but core values didn't align and we didn't set the marriage up right. It all goes back to what
It's a
happens in the
loss.
beginning
Yeah.
for everything.
Yeah. There's always a reason behind the reason.
For
Yeah.
for me, I never understood why my childhood was so violent. My childhood was very, very, very violent, and it really affected me. It's my personality, but it's my journey. And every time I would turn around, I'd be in a car, and I didn't run into anybody. People would run into me, and I've had some serious car accidents where I got really hurt. And this last one, I didn't get paid. He didn't have insurance or a driver's license.
Oof.
$500,000 in medical.
Mm.
I lost all that income. I had to do rehab. I'm still, the thing is I was telling Nate earlier, I got asthma. Okay, that's bad. But I have 12 herniated disc. So if my back locks up from hyperventilating, right, because I can't get a deep breath. So now I got my back locked up with my lungs locked up. That's a card trick to be able to breathe because I can't
Mhm.
lay down and work on my back, can't sit
Mm.
still. But that goes back to my health and going to the next level and being on
Mhm.
Fox News or being up on the stage and doing
Mhm.
all of those things. And what's going to happen? Am I going to have brain fog? Am
Mm.
I going to be well received? Just I don't know.
Mm.
I'm kind of a hybrid in my coaching practice and my
Mhm.
background.
It's
Do you
interesting that
have
you think about that. Like because I was thinking, I think about like wanting to be a speaker and being on stage. And, some of these speakers, they get on there, especially the women, they're wearing high-heeled shoes and they're on stage for 30, 45 minutes and they're talking to the crowd and it's great. And a lot of it can, the adrenaline coming from the crowd can help you out.
Can feel
But
it.
it can
yeah,
fuel you, but, now I'm thinking about it, oh my gosh, wearing high heels and standing on stage for 30 to 45 minutes.
that's
I
work.
have back issues myself. I have sickle cell, and so I've had, like, crises in my
Oh,
back, and
yep.
so I've had
Mm.
the back spasms and all that kinda stuff. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'm not doing the high heels on stage.
Now,
I'm gonna
let
have
me
to
bring
change
another.
that picture and what it looks like.
So
Yeah.
let me
Uh-huh.
bring something else in for you. Okay. Now you don't look like you wear makeup. You don't
Not a
look like you
lot,
wear
no.
makeup.
Yeah, I do
Okay.
my eyes and my lips every so often.
Okay. So I was invited to be a speaker. And I ended up being a speaker in a venue, 100 people, and the AC didn't work. And I spent 20 years in Kansas City. I'm in Florida. So I was soaking wet. Literally, you could see the water through my suit, water running down my legs into my
Uh,
shoe. I mean,
oh,
I told him, I said, I'm miserable and the presentation ends here, right? Hate that happened. I mean, I shotgunned it, but all kinds of things can happen. And then
mhm,
again, it goes back to your personality and how are you going to handle that? That's
mhm.
really what it comes
Mm.
down to.
So Mike, do you have an example of, you were working with someone and, the light bulb went on and that all of a sudden unlocked 4 or 5 other different things?
All the time because I do SWATs for everyone I'm connected to. I believe in the SWAT. I mean, it's an overused acronym, but sitting down and doing the SWAT for your business and what you want to achieve really does, the opportunities really brings out. And if you've done your strategic plan, your competitive analysis, the opportunities in your SWOT will bring things to light. And I suggest that both of you do that today if you have not done it. Now you two are sharp and can chew bubble gum and walk at the same time. So I'm pretty sure you've done that. Because who doesn't want to do a SWOT on Friday night?
Yeah. Well,
I
that's
do.
the
Love it.
worst times to spend, or worst ways to spend your time. Uh, yeah. All right. So let's do our rapid clarity round here real quick, and we'll get you on your way here. What's the one question every coach should be asking themselves about their business this month?
What are the gaps that I have in my business, my overall business? What are the gaps? What do I need to be looking for? If you can't answer that, call me.
Okay.
I'll help you figure it out.
There's a question. How do they identify the gaps? Like, is it the things that like what's stopping me from making great revenue or profit? What are the things that I hate the most about my business? What do I really just want to hand off and just like never do again? How do they identify like what those gaps are?
Right.
I would rather identify it for them, but what they can do for themselves is you've got things that are bugging you. What keeps you up at night as a coach? What are you thinking about when you go to bed? Start with that, make a list, and then go investigate it and go deeper and fully understand how your business works. Are you working your P&L? Do you teach that to your clients? What's your gross profit margin? Are you doing that correctly? I mean, I hate to say that, but I have found just about everybody, I can't say everybody, I don't want to get sued. A large percentage don't figure gross profit margin correctly. So if we have $100 for labor and materials, and we're going to do a 35% markup, 1 times 3.5, that's a 26% markup. You have to do the inversion equation. So 35 from 100 is 65. 0.65 divided into 100 gives us the 35% profit or gross profit margin. So when you are looking at your numbers, what are you seeing when you are scheduling meetings and you have what percentage? Go back and do your numbers, do the data, go back and do what you teach to your business owners for yourself and find out if you had 4 meetings and 1 became a client. That's 1 out of 4. That's not horrible, but why? Go back and start doing debrief and understanding why. Go back and look at your message. How is your message received? How are people finding you? How do you connect with your clients? What's your ecosystem? What are you doing for a coaching portal? If you don't have the money for that, then you can use Excel. There's free stuff out there. I don't know what the free stuff is, but Excel is what we've always gone back to, especially for small businesses. Go back and harvest your numbers and actually work through those and come up with a list. If it's something from that situation that you discover, keep digging, because usually when we see it pop up, there's something else behind it. There's underlying issues. Do an analysis of your health. How do you feel every day? Do you sleep enough? Do you eat well? What are you putting in your body? Drink enough water? Are you on medication? So your health and your teeth are good. Look at your family. Is your wife supportive? Are your kids supportive? Where are you working? Working at home? Or are you working in an office and you need to get out so that you can function? So all of these things, when you start asking yourself questions or you're laying in bed and you're thinking, have a tablet by the nightstand and just turn over and just jot down something really quick so that you can follow up on in the morning. The warning signs are there. Just open your eyes and look at everything you're doing and do a self-analysis. And then we need to structure a plan to change what is not working correctly.
Nice. Mike, what's the biggest myth currently being sold to coaches?
Spend $100,000 on a franchise and you'll make $500,000 a year. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. I've talked to many coaches who've done that in the last 6 months. They're not doing it. And then they get roped into contracts where if they get out of the franchise, they can't call themselves a coach or a consultant for 2 years.
Wow.
Well, the company doesn't want them to take their framework and the knowledge and then take it on their own. And then the franchise is tossed away. They got used. So the franchise has a pretty serious, some of them can be 2 years. Some of them can be up to 7 years. So the investment, the franchise fees, and then a monthly stipend. And so with what I'm doing, I'm trying to save retired executives, coaches that are maybe thinking about a pivot. I have a solution for you and I will take you to the next level and I'll put it in writing. If I don't, I'll work for free until I do. As long as
Risk
you follow what
reversal.
well, as long as you're following, we're working the plan together. But then I have to know everything to write the plan. I just can't write the plan. I got to do the gap
Yeah.
analysis, and I also have to know where you're at with your family.
What is the most underrated lever in a coaching business? Is it design, marketing, sales, or something else?
I think it goes back to the systems that you believe in. And if the systems that you believe in really work. Here again, it goes back to A/B testing. Before you go out and build a whole world around a framework, really go out and search the framework, see who's using it and how it's being done. There are other profit ideas and concepts out there around what I'm doing. I run into them all the time. I mean, they're out there, but it's not the same thing. It's not as detailed. So I think the myth is that one size fits all. It depends on where you are and what you want to do. Really decides where you're going to be in the future. And for this platform that I believe in 100% in my heart, it's not for every coach. It's not. And if it's not a fit for you, I'll tell you it's not a fit for you, because I don't want a failed project as a coach. It's one of the first things I was taught. We don't want failed projects, and we want people who are coachable.
All right, good deal. So what Mike's just laid out for everybody out there listening is something that we see across service-based businesses that we work with, and not just coaches. Marketing, sales, delivery, none of that can carry the weight that the business itself was never designed to hold. So clarity is structural, and once it's in place, every other lever starts pulling in the same direction. If what Mike shared today landed for you, and you want to see what this kind of business architecture actually looks like in practice, head to profitpathcoach.com/results, and we'll put the link in the notes there, description. Mike has put together a clear next step for coaches who are ready to stop guessing and start designing the business they're really building. And if this conversation made you realize that you're not sure where your biggest growth constraint actually sits, whether it's the architecture Mike's talking about or something further downstream, you can also take our growth ceiling assessment, and that will be linked in the notes as well. It takes about 2 to 5 minutes and helps you see which part of your growth engine in your business needs attention first. Simone, you have anything?
Pretty much it. If you thank you so much, Mike, for being here today. For you out there watching, and subscribe to this podcast, and wherever it is you're listening. And if you learned something today, let us know in the comments. Give us your aha moments, your biggest takeaways, and let us know what's the next lever that you're going to pull in your business to take it to the next step. So if it's helped you, subscribe and tell others. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Take care.